I'm Susandra Spicer. I chose to be a sculptor of abstract assemblage, probably in my late 40s. I was painting and exploring all kinds of other sculpture, but when I hit on putting things together that I found, I knew I'd found a match because I'm a collector, I'm a matchmaker of stuff, and now I have metal that I weld, and I have 10 pallets of metal where I work with the welder. And so one of my real key things about starting a piece and the inspiration is the fact that I have to be able to see the stuff I have. And I walk by it and I sort of flirt with it. You know, it's speaking to me, and I get an idea that something is related to something else, and then I start pulling them together. So that's sort of like gathering things and collecting them and laying them out, and then I start thinking about the engineering. You know, I have to know how they're going to join, or I have to play with various possibilities how it might join, so that it will be stable, it'll be safe, and it'll bring out the parts that I'm interested in. This piece had a lot of donated parts of things. This one I kept for years because it was so special. It really had to be in the best possible piece, and I was beginning to think I was never going to be able to use it. And these were bright and shiny, and I had to rust them for quite a few years out in the weather because I wanted them to be the piece. And I liked the way the thing came together where you could see through it, and I learned all about how it looks when the light changes and you move your head. I mean, this piece is really an exploration trip for me. It's lightweight, and it's using some really simple things. So a lot of my themes are about simplicity, and I just really like curves. My friends donate pieces to me all the time. Something shows up on my doorstep or by my fence, and maybe they don't even tell me who it was. And I've had people come by the studio for art tours, and they say, "Oh, look what you did with this saw blade I left on your doorstep 5 years ago." And it's really a fun thing to see how this process develops. It takes a lot of time, though. It takes time for me to get a feeling about the pieces and how I'm going to engineer it. I'd say I spend 75 to 80% of the time working on the engineering part. You know, the inspiration and the creativity part happens sometimes like that, and it's gone, and then I might even forget about it for a few weeks, not come back to it. It's sort of back of the stove kind of thing. I think I've found that in my particular time in my life, I sculpt and I cook the same way. I stand in front of the fridge and I figure out what's there, what am I going to do with it. This is what I do with putting my pieces together. Eventually I've started getting a little monumental, and at the same time now I'm starting to do a little non-precious jewelry, you know, really tiny stuff. So I'm experimenting, but I think I'm mostly comfortable with things that I can carry myself. When I made pieces that are just really big and they can be out in the public and no one can walk off with them, I have to hire somebody to help me and put them in and install them, and that's just a big block for me. I'm not comfortable with that part of it. So independence is important for me. I love that creative moment when the things that used to have a life of their own are having a new life because they're with something else. They're in a different place, and they've created a new shape and a new line and a new piece. And that's that really feels good. I chose not to be carving and not to be pouring bronze. I did some of those things for a while, but this really fits. A lot of my process has to do with tiny tack welds, and this one hardly has any welds in it at all. Some of these are welded, but sometimes you have to just bolt and wire and twist, and it's really fun. Engineering is something I really kind of enjoy. And this piece seems to make for me flow. And that's why I chose it for this, besides the fact that it's light. Thank you.